Hi, I'm Steve, and two things I am super passionate about are talent, people, and Northwest Arkansas, specifically supplier teams and the CPG community. I've been part of it since '99, and this is a great place to live and work. And so I'm really excited to talk about those two things today, talent and the CPG ecosystem here in Northwest Arkansas. I spent about 32 years or in and around CPG, specifically Walmart and Sam's Club for most of it. My first half of my career was really in a selling role, as we like to say, carrying the bag, calling on retailers, Walmart, Sam's Club, and others across the country. The third quarter of my career, I spent leading those teams and building out supplier teams for suppliers that didn't quite have a presence yet in Northwest Arkansas, and then really trying to get really good at strategically aligning plans between suppliers and Walmart and Sam's Club. And then the current quarter I'm in right now, I'm really following my passion of helping founders and leaders create healthy work environments and healthy teams so people can thrive and people can really love what they do and love the people that they do it with. So that's what I'm excited about. That's what gets me crazy excited out of bed in the morning, and I'm excited to share with you today. There's four things I really want to talk about today, specifically around high-performing teams in the supplier community. The first one is just share a little bit of history about supplier teams and how they came to be here in Northwest Arkansas. The second thing I want to share about are two of the most common approaches I have seen from suppliers in how they bring resources to bear to partner with Walmart and Sam's Club. The third thing I want to do is share with you just two simple frameworks that I have seen work really well over the years. I'm not going to be sharing a ton of leadership theory or team design theory. Really, it's just two really practical tools or approaches that I have seen work really well. And the last thing I want to do is just share some final thoughts around talent in general and how, as a leader, you can help develop the talent in your own organizations. A little bit of history on the supplier community. They say today around 2,000 companies or suppliers have some kind of presence here in Northwest Arkansas. Now, I've heard the number be 1,300. I've heard it be 2,600. Needless to say, there are a lot of companies that have a physical presence here on the ground in Northwest Arkansas, whether that is one person working from home or a team of 250 to 300 calling on Walmart and having a physical office presence here. And there's a whole lot in between. But really, suppliers didn't originally set out to set up camp here. In fact, most companies would send a salesperson traveling down to Bentonville, Arkansas to call on Walmart and Sam's Club. And really, the only people that won in that environment were the local motels and Fred's Hickory Inn. And that went on for a long time. Mr. Sam started Walmart in the late 60s, early 70s. And it wasn't until almost 1990 that supplier teams really started to plant flags here in Northwest Arkansas. So until about 88, there weren't really any local teams to speak of. Now, Procter & Gamble was the first team to bring an organization or bring talent to the area, and that was led by Tom Muccio. He was tapped within the P&G leadership ranks to come down to Northwest Arkansas and try to see if this idea of creating a multifunctional team would work here with the largest retailer, which at the time was not the largest retailer, but I think everybody saw what was coming. And so P&G made a bet, and they bet big with bringing Tom and about a dozen other multifunctional leaders down to Northwest Arkansas, which is really the first major presence of a supplier team to set up shop here in town. Now, I had the honor and the privilege of being a part of that Walmart team. Tom brought me down to the team in 1999. And I like to say that's when my big boy career began, because it wasn't until I arrived here did I really get to experience the power of and the volume of business that is done here and the opportunity to partner with a retailer like Walmart and Sam's. I moved down here originally as the analyst on our baby care business. At the time, the diaper business was part of bath tissue and paper towels, and Walmart treated it completely differently than that. It was not a consumable category. It was actually an apparel. And so, and another example of P&G's commitment to understanding and serving Walmart, they created a baby care team that focused on Department 26, which was babies baby care, diapers, wipes, formula, food, furniture, and clothing, honestly, for the infant department. And so I got a chance to come down here in '99 to be a part of that inaugural team. And within about 3 months, I earned the advisor role for the diapers and wipes category. And let me tell you, that is where I really got a front row seat for what can happen when a supplier and a retailer can partner together in service of the total category, not just in service of the retailer, or not just in service of the supplier, but in service of the whole category, really going after that customer and meeting the needs of that customer. I spent like the next 10 years after that in varying roles across the P&G business. And then, in fact, I left P&G and went into another category, chocolate, with Ghirardelli Chocolate, and later with Russell Stover. And so I've had a lot of opportunity to come in and see from the ground floor what it looks like to be on a supplier team, not only a big supplier team, but also I got to launch some supplier team presence here in Northwest Arkansas with those other companies. So in 2014, however, I was tapped to come in to Russell Stover, that did not have a local presence here in Northwest Arkansas, and really tried to modernize their go-to-market approach. And they were still managing their business from Kansas City and bringing down resources for meetings with Walmart and then heading back home. Ultimately, I would say I don't believe that approach worked. And that's one of the reasons why I'm passionate about what I'm going to share today, is that a local presence with a supplier team that's really focused on understanding Walmart and Sam's is absolutely critical to winning here at Walmart. And so really that experience showed me that there were really only two that I've experienced, two really successful approaches to a supplier team setting up shop and working with Walmart. The first one is that the team can simply be a local reflection of their bigger company. They send down a resource or two or three, but really it's that team is just an extension of that company. And what that looks like is lots of relocations in and out of talent. A lot of the top-to-top interaction at Walmart is on a pretty transactional basis. A lot of times the categories that lend themselves to this approach are really innovation-driven categories based on consumer taste or broad market trends, or just really overall not super retailer-specific needed plans to grow in a category. In this instance, a lot of times the brands are the ones that drive the discussion. They push down the insights to Walmart and Sam's and other retailers. And the strategic mechanics of any good category, pricing, promotion, pack sizes, those are really all kind of necessary evils that the brand has to understand in order to do business. There are consumer-driven categories like toys and food flavors and food formats. A lot of those are driven by the manufacturers who bring those insights down to Walmart. And a lot of times that lends itself to a structure that is simply an extension of that company's headquarters. And in fact, I could say that Russell Stover, while I was there, we brought a local presence down. We opened up a local office, but we were definitely late to the game in that regard. The other approach that I have seen that works really, really well, and I would say this is the most successful of the two, is a shopper and customer focused approach to the local supplier team. Yes, of course, they're an extension of the supplier's headquarters, whether it's New Jersey or Cincinnati or Minneapolis. But really, when you bring a hybrid approach to the talent, not just in and out from the headquarters, but really you take the best of both, the best of local Northwest Arkansas talent, you infuse that with some talent coming down and being developed from headquarters. And really the partnerships that you develop with Walmart are really at that top-to-top level when you've got a supplier team that is focused on understanding Walmart and Sam's uniquely. And that's the way Tom Muccio and the P&G folks did it. That's how they do it today. And that's how many of the supplier teams in town are having a lot of success. A lot of times where that strategic partnership drives the discussion, those special mechanics in the category that I talked about, the pack size, the discount slope, a lot of times packaging, that's the special sauce that a supplier team and Walmart can collaborate on together to bring the best business plans to the category. Some examples of these might be supply chain driven staple categories that have really financially struggling metrics for Walmart, maybe low margins. It's a destination category. I have some personal examples in a few of these categories. One is eggs, the current category that I work with. It's a critical category and it has a remarkably complex supply chain. So having a deeply local approach to that with Walmart in partnership is really essential. On my time with the baby care business at P&G, we innovated on pack size with large pack diapers. When I moved here, the largest pack size we were selling had 40 diapers in it. And it was through a lot of consumer insights and learning that mom really wanted to buy more diapers at a time because she really wanted to come to the store less frequently. And that was an insight we had to respond to. Another one on the baby care business was Love's Splashwear. And you've probably never heard of that. But that was an innovation that was a partnership between the local Walmart team and P&G back home in Cincinnati. The swimwear category was dominated by one player and the margins were low and there wasn't a lot of innovation. And so we partnered with Walmart to bring some innovation in that category, which led to a couple of really great years for Walmart in that category, just by listening to the customer and bringing them some unique plans that were driven in part by a hybrid approach between Cincinnati P&G and Northwest Arkansas P&G. I've seen both of those approaches work. They can both be good, they can both be successful, and they're both necessary. But in my experience, it's that category and retailer focused approach, that strategic approach is the one that wins most of the time and certainly attracts the most talent and provides the most robust career growth opportunities in the area. Now, for many smaller suppliers or those that are just getting started with Walmart, creating that customer-focused, consumer-focused team is not reasonable. It's not feasible. A lot of those suppliers are relying on third-party omni-channel agencies that really bring all of those multifunctional expertise together in one place, but they leverage the whole store and their experience in the whole store to help those smaller suppliers or those suppliers that are just starting out compete quickly with Walmart. And I've seen that work extremely well, specifically at my 7 years with the Harvest Group here in Northwest Arkansas. That's the approach that they take, and it is very, very successful. Let me shift over and talk about two of the tools or frameworks, I guess you could call them, that I have seen work, I have used, and that have had success with in calling on Walmart. And I'm actually going to head over to the board here because I want to draw some pictures with these. But the first one is called the inverted bow tie, or actually, yes, the inverted bow tie. Back in the day, most of the selling structures that you'd see across any industry were between two people, a buyer and a seller. And those two people were the tip of the spear. And those two people were the ones that worked on the business. But behind those people, behind the buyer, there was replenishment. There was ISD. I was wondering how that was going to spell. ISD, there's planning with division planners and those kinds of folks. And then there's merchandising. And then there is store operations. All of those people are certainly working on the category, but they're flanked in front by the buyer who represents that selling relationship. And then the seller likewise has product supply behind them, usually back at headquarters. They have IT, they have forecasting, missed a T there. They have and sales ops. And in this type of setup, you've really got this inverted bow tie look to the structure of the sales team. And it all comes down to these two people. And it was Tom Muccio with P&G that brought the inverted bow tie to the market. That really is a much better way to align between the retailer and the supplier. And I'll walk you through that now. The inverted bow tie looks something like this. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's just go over here. The inverted bow tie is basically taking that approach and flipping it on its head. And the way that looks is you've got Walmart's replenishment. It's going to mess it up again here. Replenishment, product supply for the supplier. And let me back up and say this is the VP of sales, or this is the NAM. One of those two kind of, that's really funny that that's doing that. Hey, Matt, if possible, let's edit and run back to when I kick off the inverted bow tie. The first approach that I've seen work really, really well is this idea of the inverted bow tie. Old school selling structures really focused on two people, and it focused on a buyer and a seller. And that relationship was where all of the conversation happened, all of the planning happened. But behind each of those people were lots of people, i.e., behind the buyer, there's replenishment, there's ISD, there's store ops, there's merchandising. All of those people were supporting the buyer, which was the single point of contact with the seller, or in this case, it might be a NAM or a VP of sales. And behind them was a product supply organization, was an IT organization, was ops planning, and finance. And I missed one over here, and that was planning, financial planning at Walmart. This was how a lot of the original buyer-seller relationships were structured. Tom Muccio and Procter & Gamble brought in this idea of the inverted bow tie, which basically flipped that model on its head. You still have a buyer, you still have a NAM or a VP of sales or director of sales, but the magic happens when you get Walmart's replenishment and the supplier's product supply team connected. It's when you get Walmart's planning function with the supplier's finance resources. It's where you get store ops tied with ops at the seller's place. You've got merchandising connecting with the marketing team on the brand. And it's when you have these multifunctional alignments still headquartered or quarterbacked by a buyer and a seller, but they're supporting this multifunctional approach. That is a very successful approach that most, if not all, of the major supplier teams are embracing, is this idea of a multifunctional team that is bringing the right resources together at the right level and at the right time to come up with the best possible plans. The second approach I want to talk about is it's really about strategic stakeholder alignment. And at P&G, this famously became the Venn diagram model. But really, it's looking at all of the different stakeholders of a partnership and trying to identify the goals of each of those stakeholders, and then trying to come up with the right business plan that meets the needs of all of those stakeholders, where there's some mutual accountability and mutual interest in achieving the overall goals. And so the example I'm going to share with you is the baby care category. But really, the way that model looks is there's really three key stakeholders in any of these supplier retailer relationships from a local team level. And again, I'm focusing on the local customer shopper focused team approach that we talked about earlier. The first one is at Walmart. They are a stakeholder, so Walmart has goals. There's the supplier, call that the headquarters of the supplier. That's the brand team. And then you have the local Walmart team of the supplier. And really, those are three entities. Now, granted, these two are connected, but those are three entities that can sometimes have conflicting objectives. But the trick is to find this middle ground. And at Walmart, that's always around the shopper, or as Walmart calls them, the customer. And if you can align all three of these stakeholders' objectives to delivering on this one in the middle, that's when you're going to get the winning business plans. So for example, in baby care, Walmart, diapers was a really, really struggling category financially. It was great for the store because it brought in traffic, but it was really struggling from a financial standpoint. The margins were single digits, low single digits. So at Walmart, margin or profitability was the key objective that Walmart needed to hit, needed to see in our plans for them to get excited about the plan we're bringing them. From a supplier standpoint, what we really wanted in Cincinnati, what the brand wanted in Cincinnati, was market share. They wanted to develop plans that would position Pampers to grow in the overall market, certainly Walmart and elsewhere, but to grow share of the diaper category. And then in my case, the local Walmart team, we were trying to grow POS sales, and we were trying to grow brand share within the Walmart category. So we wanted to bring plans that made and helped the whole category grow. And as a leader in the category, we would hope that our share would grow as well in those plans. And so if we could do that, if we could deliver a plan that delivers more incremental margin or accretive margin for Walmart, it helped the Pampers brand grow share in the market, and it helped the Walmart team hit our number or deliver our forecast in POS dollars and market share. That's where magic can really happen, is when you get all three of those stakeholders focused on one thing. Now, one more point on the baby care one, and this was probably the most critical thing that we discovered, is that based on the research we brought to Walmart on the baby care category, a very big consumer insight was that when a couple or when a family has their first baby, the number of shopping outlets that they shop at drops from 10 outlets at a time. When that baby comes, it drops to 5. And over 80% of their spending focuses on one of those 5 channels of trade. Think of those as drugstores, club stores, super centers, online. 80% of that new family's spending is concentrated in one channel of trade or one outlet. So we set out at Walmart for Walmart to be the one place where that family decides to shop. And how did we do that? We made sure that all the things that those baby care families needed were priced competitively, were in stock, the assortment was right, the layout was easy to shop. All that we did was centered around Walmart being the one outlet that those families chose to shop in. And then all of our plans around that were around bringing accretive, profitable plans to Walmart that would help the Pampers brand grow share and would help the Walmart team deliver the POS goals that we had, the dollar sales and brand share in the category. So those are just two of the approaches that I've seen work really well when aligning Walmart and a supplier on some strategic goals. All right, I want to share some thoughts now on talent. If you're a team lead, talent can be that thing that enables both of those approaches to really start to hum and really bring efficiency to your results as a team. So if talent is that thing that can be the fulcrum that leverages the best of both approaches, I think there's two ways that a supplier team can look at talent, and that's cultivating talent. And I call that cultivating talent by bringing in talent from the headquarters down to the Walmart team for a rotation and then sending them back. It brings the consumer mindset down to the team, and it takes the Walmart's perspective back to the organization when they go back. That's an effective way to cultivate talent in an organization. Another way that a team can leverage talent is curated talent. And I like to call that the hybrid approach, which is not only finding the best talent, the uniquely valuable talent for your category and your plans in the Northwest Arkansas market, and bringing in folks from your headquarters for broadening assignments onto the Walmart business and sending them back. Now, in my personal experience, P&G struggled to get people to move down here in the late 90s. Arkansas wasn't a place that most Cincinnati folks thought they would live. And then once they got here and saw how great it was, nobody wanted to move away. And so that was the struggle with that particular model of curating talent from both local market and headquarters, is you don't get people to want to move back to headquarters very often. And that's probably still the case today with all of the advancements that we've made here in Bentonville and Northwest Arkansas. So with a curated talent approach, there's really an opportunity for that supplier to broaden their relevance within Walmart and within Northwest Arkansas by combining the best of local talent and imported or curated talent from the headquarters. And then secondly, it's for an opportunity for local talent to come into a supplier, show leadership, show results, and then that could provide an opportunity to grow their career by moving back to headquarters or moving to headquarters for the first time. That opens up a whole new career path for that person, for that local talent that was maybe born and raised or developed here in Northwest Arkansas. So two approaches to talent. You can cultivate talent by farming it in and out from your headquarters, or you can curate talent, which is to do both local and talent from your headquarters. There are a couple of challenges I want to talk about now about talent, specifically in the local Northwest Arkansas marketplace. And the first one is that it can feel like a constant circuit of talent swapping. When you've got really talented folks that either were born and raised in Northwest Arkansas or moved to Northwest Arkansas and don't want to leave, a challenge is that there are lots of opportunities for talent to grow and develop, which is great. And people should do that in their career. But if you're a team lead, you can have a bit of a revolving door sometimes. And so the prescription for that, if you're a team lead, is to make sure that the opportunities that you are offering are things that are tied uniquely to a person's unique skills and experiences, and that there's an authentic alignment between the kind of culture that you've created and the kind of culture that attracts that best talent. And so you're not gonna end the talent swapping that goes on here in town, but you can certainly mitigate it by focusing on the health of your organization and putting together, honestly, plans that grow at Walmart, because growing supplier teams attract talent. Another challenge I want to point out to team leads is I believe that team leads often overlook fresh local talent, talent that isn't necessarily experienced. At Harvest Group, we had a season of time where we were looking for talented individuals, not just folks that had done it before, not just folks that had already been an AM or had already been an analyst on a supplier team. We had the margin, not financial margin, but capacity margin in the organization to be able to look at folks that were just really talented people with diverse experiences, but maybe not CPG. I want to challenge the supplier teams out there that your only option isn't to hire the analyst that has done it once before and they're just looking for a 5% increase in salary and wanting to improve their boss. There is a lot of local talent, whether it's from U of A, whether it's from the CPG adjacent tech companies that are in town. But it's a challenge that I want to just pose out there that if you've got the margin in your organization to be able to train and onboard folks, there's a lot of great talent in Northwest Arkansas that isn't necessarily equipped with 5 to 10 years of experience in CPG. The last thing I want to talk about from a challenge is that there is a constant amount of change here in Northwest Arkansas. Constant change with the data solution that Walmart is offering suppliers, constant change with the amount of technology that's needed to be able to run your business at Walmart, and certainly from a talent standpoint, constantly evolving talent, as we talked. I think if you can provide your people with clear and compelling plans, vision for their growth in your organization, that's how you can address some of those constantly changing marketplace conditions, is to provide folks with a clear and compelling pathway to greater responsibility, to expanding their experiences, and certainly from a financial standpoint, compensation growth. And I do want to park there for a second, not compensation, but clear and compelling plans. One of the things that I've rolled out this year to our team that I really, I want to challenge others to think about. I've often struggled with goal setting, in particular, putting the right metrics behind goals. And sometimes it's just overwhelming, the weight of having 5 to 10 goals on someone. You get to the end of the year and you've maybe accomplished 1 or 2 because it was just too heavy and too broad of a lift, honestly. One of the things I rolled out to my team this year is this idea of putting a framework around your goals so that people can have some context or some perspective when they're setting goals. Let me be more specific. There are 4 areas that I've asked my team to develop goals around, and ideally 1 goal per area. And we do biannual performance reviews. So maybe it's a 6-month goal or maybe it's a 12-month goal. But those 4 areas are deliver, accelerate, innovate, and grow. And I believe that on our team, when you provide people that focus of saying, hey, what is the 1 goal you need to deliver what is expected of you? Call it Friday's payroll, call it your core expectations, but what is that 1 goal with great focus would deliver what it is you're expected to deliver for the organization? A second kind of goal I want people to have is an accelerate goal. What is 1 thing that if you were to accelerate that 1 thing for the team, for the company, for the retailer, it would mean a significant step change in the growth in the business. So in this example, it might be you've got innovation, but it's planned for 24 months away. Well, how can we accelerate that? I've seen a lot of folks in our organization have goals around accelerating their adoption of Luminate, which obviously is going to help from an analytics standpoint on the day-to-day business, but also on future planning. So we've got folks that are accelerating their learning around Luminate. The third area is innovate. I want people to have 1 goal of something that they're choosing to innovate on, a process they want to make better, not necessarily go faster, but innovate on. I've seen folks talk about embracing AI in their work, and that's their innovate goal, whether that's embracing the AI-enabled note-taking applications, or in my case, I'm embracing AI-fueled recruiting resources or recruiting tools that help us identify and assess talent using AI. That's the area that I've chosen for my own personal innovate goal. The 4th area of goal that I want people to have is their own personal growth. What is 1 thing you want to learn how to do or develop a skill in over the next 6 to 12 months? But what is that 1 thing? Pretty simple, 4 different goals that are really easy to pinpoint. What do you need to deliver? What are you going to speed up or accelerate? How are you going to innovate 1 thing? And then how are you going to grow personally? Just some thoughts around talent and ways that I think a supplier team here in Northwest Arkansas can become and stay high performing is to focus on those critical parts of the talent recipe and the talent experience here in Northwest Arkansas. So in closing, I'll say that retail is a very dynamic business, and there are lots of ways to win with Walmart and Sam's Club. And I've only outlined a couple of them that I have seen personally work over the years. The second thing I want to leave you with is talent is a constant. It's a constant in the quality of your plans. It's a constant in the health of your organization. It's a constant in the relationships that you build with Walmart. Talent, the level of talent that you can attract and develop is key. And lastly, I want to encourage you to develop folks with compelling assignments. There's lots of ways that you can develop your talent, and here are just a couple as closing thoughts. 1, compelling assignments. Give them opportunities to stretch and to grow and to move into areas that they didn't think they were ready for. Lean into them. 2nd, find ways that you can bring people to opportunities where they are uniquely needed. It's 1 thing to post an open job and have somebody apply for it and they're qualified so they get it. It's another thing to have a need on your team and to find a person that is uniquely equipped with skills and experiences to deliver that unique thing. It's amazing what happens when people feel like they are uniquely needed. The 3rd thing I want to talk about is radical clarity as a takeaway here, as a final thought. Radical clarity for people is so critical to actually delivering the results you're looking for. And there's 2 pieces of specific clarity I want to challenge you to provide. 1 is around expectations. What is expected of me? What does success look like in 30 days, 60 days, 90 days if you're a new person? Or what does expectations look like in the 4 areas of deliver, accelerate, innovate, and grow? And then the last area of radical clarity is around performance feedback. I don't know of many managers that enjoy having difficult performance conversations, but there is nothing more loving you can do for a person, and few things that are more effective at building a relationship with someone that can turn around and build a strategic partnership with Walmart is by giving them really candid, timely, necessary feedback. You'll be amazed at what happens when you can do those things with your talent. I hope this was helpful today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the Winning at Walmart conference.